It's the 30th of March 2020, and this is the MMA Movement live chat. I'm your host, Rob Palin, and I'm joined as always by Sean Taylor, who is dressing up early for Halloween in his best Bond outfit, or I guess James Bond villain outfit, as someone said to him. Sean, how are you? First things first. How's things?
I'm good. I would just like to clarify before someone definitely brings it up in the comments that it's not a turtleneck and it's actually just a fleece
Yeah,
with a zip. Yeah, it
it's
just looks the way the lighting is. It looks very evil villainy.
it does. Yeah, I like the
Yeah,
look. You look very
yeah,
smart, but
yeah.
maniacal at
All
the
I need
same
is like a
time.
beard or something, but I can't grow.
Yeah, yeah. I was slagging Sean, or I was gonna slag Sean because when we started up the call before the chat started, he was like, "Are you wearing a shirt?" Because we're obviously working from home, so there's no need for me to be dressing anything above a tracksuit.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I am. I'm still wearing tracksuit bottoms, but I'm wearing the shirt." But then I thought, "Are you wearing a fucking turtleneck?" No, he's not. But yeah, let's jump straight into this MMA stuff because that's what we're here to talk about. Khabib Nurmagomedov beat Justin Gaethje in a incredible performance last weekend, and then after the fight, to the surprise of I think everybody, probably even his coaches, although we knew it was going to come very soon, he retired. Dana White came out today or yesterday, I'm not sure when exactly it was. I think it might have been late last night for us, and said that Khabib is not retired, or he doesn't think he would be retired, or he will his retirement will stick because they have been in talks and he wants to come back to get that 30-0 that his father wanted. So let's start there because I think that's the big news, and then we can kind of talk about all the Khabib stuff, the performance a little bit because we didn't chat about it. And of course, before we move on to that, if you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. We do these live chats every week. It looks like it's going to be Fridays. We'll see. But I really appreciate it. And put your questions in the live chat as well. So, Sean, your immediate thoughts. Do you believe Dana White that Khabib Nurmagomedov is not retired and he'll go for that 30-0?
I don't know. I take
On
everything
that
Dana said.
fence.
Yeah, I take everything Dana said, like everything Dana ever says, with a pinch of salt. Um, was he talking to Khabib this quickly after the fight? I don't know. Um, Khabib to me has always seen a man of his words, and when he says something, you believe it.
Mm.
So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that he would use the retirement uh, statement lightly like that.
Yeah.
I think there probably is an element of Dana liking the GSP fight and maybe trying to get him thinking about it. But yeah, I don't know. I do find it somewhat hard to believe that Khabib, of all people, would make a U-turn this quickly.
I kind of feel the same, but I do believe him. I'll tell you why I believe Dana, which is rare for me. A lot of times I just think he's doing promoter talk, and
Yeah,
just Dana being Dana, and that's not even a shot. He has to
yeah,
do that. But the reason why I do believe him is because I think on the night we saw Khabib um, act very differently than we've seen him act before, and the obvious reason was his
yeah,
father passing. And after the fight, when he broke down, you could see that he was carrying all this immense emotion into the fight, and then it completely hit him at the end. Like, I was surprised even on the post fight interview because immediately after he won, he fell down and broke down. So putting the microphone in his face and all these emotions going through him and all these thoughts going through his head, I can see why he said he wants to retire, especially because he said that he was talking to his mother as well. So, like, for me, Habib was always that guy who I'm going to take him at his word. But at the same time, he's still a human and he still has these emotions, and we saw them. So I can still see why he'd get emotional and do something like that. Um, I don't think Dana White would be lying about this or using it as some kind of bargaining chip, putting it out into the public to put pressure on Khabib, simply because of what Khabib said, that he
yeah,
wants to do it because he needs to spend more time with his mom. His dad died. I don't think Dana is at that level of scumminess to come out and say that. So for that reason, I do believe him.
yeah. Yeah, I
But
understand that as well.
yeah, but in terms of if he does come back or what the idea is, I know Dana said that he had an idea for Khabib after this one.
Yeah,
So there must be something there that Khabib wants to do. And I think the easiest thing to look at is the GSP fight because that's the one he's been talking about for a long time. it seems like the UFC were reticent to actually do that. But do you think that maybe that could be the one? Because I don't see really a whole lot else that would intrigue Khabib to come back, apart from just getting that 30-0, which it seems like he wants to do. But I don't see any particular fight that really stands out for him.
I agree on that point that I don't see any other fight that stands out from. I said this to you earlier in the week, watching the fight live, and when Khabib announced his retirement, the first text I got as soon as he announced his retirement was one of my mates who doesn't follow MMA, probably wasn't watching the fight and just saw it on Twitter. The Khabib had retired. The first text was, "Would you not do the McGregor fight again?"
Yeah.
And I just sighed. I was like, "Oh, can we move on from this? Like, I can live happily ever after if I never see that fight again."
Yeah.
Khabib neither cares nor wants for the money. I think he'd quicker not take that fight just to spite McGregor. I think he's been pretty open about that as well. So yeah, I think like he doesn't. I don't think he's going to be a guy for rematches, even if say Dustin or Conor or Justin go on a tear. I don't think he's going to be a man for rematches. He's beat you. That's it in his eyes. Like, that's fair enough as well. So yeah, I think the GSP one is the only one that might get him out of retirement.
Yeah. I can see a couple of people posting some questions in the chat. I'll get to them now, but thanks for joining. Nice. But yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, I can see Khabib maybe looking at someone like Chandler, maybe if he wins his next fight, whoever he fights, if it's Tony or something. He said that he doesn't have a huge interest in Tony since Tony lost. That's fair enough. But there's no real reason for Khabib to fight the likes of a McGregor or a Poirier because they weren't close. It'd be different if they were close and he wanted to prove a point, but I think the point has been proven. Khabib is the superior fighter to all of those guys, so I don't see the reason for him to do that. As I said, the only reason would be for him to get somebody in there to get that 30-0, but I do feel like it has to be the GSP one. Now, I know Khabib also said that he doesn't want to move up in weight class. He wants to stay at 155 and that GSP fight to happen at 155. GSP says that he can make the weight. He said it before in the past, but I don't know. I look at GSP and he wasn't the biggest welterweight. There's definitely bigger guys there.
But there's a big gap between lightweight and 70, isn't there?
Yeah, and once you're getting smaller as well, like this, it's different when you're like 205, 185, or maybe heavyweight 205, something like that, because there's a lot more to lose. Whereas you're getting lower weight classes, and a guy who was incredibly lean like GSP, man, I just don't. I could say I think he'd make the weight, but I just don't know if it would be the best option for this fight. I wouldn't want to see it at 155, which makes me want it at 165 if possible.
Yeah,
what's your thoughts on that?
Don't like the idea of it at 55. I mean, last time we saw George, he was at 185. How lean can you get? Like, there's only so much body fat and like body weight you can lose to cut weight. As in, I don't know, like he wasn't the biggest welterweight. Like you say, welterweights have got bigger since then as well, since he was first around. But like 15 pounds is a lot of weight to cut. Like, and it gets harder as you go. As in, those last 2 pounds are harder than the first.
Yeah, exactly.
10 pounds. So yeah, I don't doubt that he would make the weight. I mean, he has the best guys around him, I'm sure, to make it healthily or somewhat healthily. But I don't think performance-wise it's best for him at 55. And he might want to go down and prove a point to say, well, everyone says I can't make 55 and perform to my best, so he might want to go down and prove a point. But yeah, 65 I think makes a lot of sense here. Even if there's not a belt on the line, I think people would like to see this.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if Khabib wants to retire after this, if this is the only fight GSP wants, what's the point in having the belt on the line? It's a nice thing for the pay-per-view. It's a nice, I guess it's a nice award for whoever wins, but it seems like they want this fight as a legacy fight more than something like to compete for some kind of hardware. So I don't think there's any reason for a title to be on the line, or there's no need for a title to be on the line in this one. And I think that should work for the UFC because for me it looked like the UFC were hesitant allowing GSP to come back and fight for the title because he would do what he was going to do last time, or what he did the last time at middleweight. He came in, won the title, left and vacated it, which isn't a great look. So if they do it at 165, no title on the line, just a legacy fight, a really big fight for the UFC, giving Khabib what he wants, getting GSP back for one more time, I think it makes a whole lot of sense.
I think that was one of the main issues with I think Dana was pretty pissed off with GSP after that last one. I think he had indicated that he would kind of stick around, hadn't he?
A little bit, yeah. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I doubt he was too committed because he would have known what his plan was. But I don't think he was entirely open with the UFC in what he planned to do. I think
no,
Dana was a bit pissed at that.
yeah. I'll jump into one or two of the questions here.
Deadly.
Paul Woodruff, Woodruff said, "Hey, what's up? You guys think Khabib will fight Tony or Connor? I heard he might not retire." Yeah, so it
No.
looks like he might not retire. I don't think he fights either one, unless Tony goes out there, fights, say, Michael Chandler, gets a really big win and looks incredible. Maybe, but I just feel like the ship has sailed on that one,
I
unfortunately.
think so. Yeah, I think he said as much himself, Khabib. He's probably looking at it as well, as in he beat Justin, who demolished Tony. As in, one win isn't going to get Tony really back in that picture to fight Khabib, I suppose.
Yeah,
As in, there's guys right now ahead of Tony in that queue to fight Khabib.
yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Joey Cruz,
I know
what's up,
that's a bit of
guys?
MMA maths there, sorry, but
Yeah, but
you know the
it's
point.
yeah. Paul Mason said, "I seen Ali Abdelaziz saying that they haven't vacated the title either. Don't know if I trust him either, but I think Dana
Yeah.
would respect that." Yeah, he hasn't officially vacated the title as far as I've seen.
Yeah, I think no, he hasn't. But how quick are the UFC usually to vacate those titles as well?
Yeah,
I understand why people are looking at it, but I don't think there's much. I don't know if there's much precedent to someone retiring and like their belt
immediately.
automatically being vacated.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an option. I think there was one. One is coming to mind, but I can't remember which one it was. Henry
Yeah.
Cejudo, wasn't it? They
Yeah.
immediately took the
Yeah.
belt from him. But I think with Henry Cejudo, they
I think
knew
that's a
he was
different one as
playing.
well.
He was playing some
Yeah.
ball games with them. But I don't think Khabib. I think Khabib for Dana White. I think it was either Khabib is 100% serious or Khabib is really emotional right now. Let's wait
Yeah.
for a few weeks until he sorts
Yeah.
himself out.
And I mean,
So,
the big thing really when people retire is leaving the USADA testing pool.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
the big thing, really.
Yeah, exactly. Joey Cruz, were you guys annoyed that it wasn't DC interviewing Khabib in the octagon? I was super annoyed. What do you think?
I wasn't annoyed, but I did think it should have been DC. Like, I definitely did think when they went to interview that it would be DC as well.
Yeah,
I thought that just made a lot of sense. But, I mean, Annick's the main guy on that booth, so it was a
yeah.
two-man booth as well, wasn't it? I thought that was a bit strange, actually, for the...
I was a 2-man booth, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
thought that
even
was...
realise.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit strange, just... But I suppose being in Abu Dhabi, Rogan's not travelling.
Yeah.
Probably a number of reasons, but yeah, I wasn't annoyed at it, I suppose, but I did think it should have been DC, just given the circumstances.
Do you know what? I didn't really think about it. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but it wasn't something that came to mind watching
I
it.
thought
So-
Anik did a good job now, to be fair.
Oh yeah, Anik is really
Khabib done a lot of the talking, really.
yeah. Anik is excellent.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been a nice
Yeah.
moment, but it was also a nice moment when he called out to DC and said, "I love you, brother."
Yeah.
That was cool. So, maybe DC was a bit emotional as well. Maybe he
He probably was.
This. So it might have been just the two guys crying to each other in the cage, which would have been nice too. But
Yeah.
you know. Paul Mason, what about Tony if he can get a win? Yeah, as we said, it's possible. I don't know. I think since he lost that title, since he lost his like big streak, I don't know. Mohit, I can't pronounce your name. Sorry, mate. What do you think about 4-man tournament for the lightweight belt? Connor, Tony, Dustin, and Michael. I like it. I don't think the UFC are going to do a tournament, but if they do vacate the belt and those are the guys in contention, which they probably should be, it makes sense to do like an unofficial tournament. I don't think they're gonna like label it a tournament, but yeah, I think it makes sense. That kind of brings up the question of what happens if they do put the belt on the Poirier McGregor fight. What's your thoughts on that, Sean?
I mean, should that fight be for the belt? Look, I don't know. I think what's more interesting to me, really, rather than who gets the belt, is the matchups, because I think there's a lot of really fun matchups, and you could only put the belt on a few of them.
Yeah.
I think, Mohit mentioned 4 guys there: Connor, Tony, Dustin, and Michael. I think Justin has to be in there. I think you could easily put Dan Hooker in there as well.
Yeah,
for one of the guys who's coming off a loss, you could match them up with Dan Hooker. I think even Michael and Dan Hooker, I think, is a good fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dustin and Connor is a fight that makes sense realistically. I mean, if Connor, I see Connor put out a tweet today, saying lightweight division incoming.
Yeah. So
I assume if
lightweight.
Connor's looking at lightweight, there's going to be a belt in the line. I don't think he's
assume
going
so.
down to lightweight for a non-title
Yeah.
bout.
Let's be real, okay? So if the Conor fight, like if the Conor fight wasn't so ridiculous, which it kind of is, that rematch with Khabib shouldn't happen anytime soon. Probably shouldn't happen. I don't think it's that competitive. But narratively, it'd be perfect if Conor and Poirier fought. Conor won if it was like an interim belt or the official belt, and then Khabib come back and fought Conor. Again, I don't want to see it, but like narratively, it makes sense.
Yeah, story-wise, it makes sense.
It does. It makes a whole lot of sense. But yeah, it's a weird one. The only thing is I wouldn't be mad at Dustin Poirier getting a shot at the title if it gets vacated or an interim belt, depending on what happens. So, like, just by Dustin Poirier getting it, I'm probably not too mad if they put the belt on the line there, even though I don't think Conor necessarily deserves it after beating Cowboy. But yeah, it is what it is. In terms of the tournament, though, all those guys, you know, if they can
match them up against each other, like
match them against each other, 2 wins and you're a champion out of those, yeah, I like it.
I think Justin is only 1 win away again from a title fight, because I think Dustin beats Conor. Apologies, I think Dustin beats him. If Justin gets a win, then I mean Dustin has a win over Justin. It's fucking horrible saying the two of them really quickly.
Yeah. It's like Gaethje and Poirier.
Yeah, if Dustin then has a win over Gaethje, that story makes sense. Yeah, like, and then Chandler's thrown in the mix there. That lightweight division is full of killers at the minute.
Yeah,
like there's guys outside the top 15 who, if they were transposed into any other division, would be top 15.
Yeah, exactly. Paul Mason said that Tony and Khabib is like our Floyd and Manny. I know that fight happened eventually, but it was far too late. In a way, it is. I don't really know the history of Floyd and Manny, if it was ever close. The difference, I don't think it was ever that close. I think there was talks of it, but it was never like Khabib and Tony, where it was actually booked and kept falling through. Like, that never happened.
I think Floyd was biding his time at Manny.
Yeah,
just took him at the right time. Made him in. Floyd's the best businessman going, really.
Yeah, and his boy fights this weekend as well, isn't he? Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, Tank. That's on Channel 5 actually, for any UK and Irish listeners.
Unreal. I assume it's US time, so is it?
Yeah, it's going to be US time, so 3 or 4 in the morning. But yeah, good fight all the same. Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah. Assuming, this is from John C. Assuming Khabib stays retired, which division benefits more from the champion leaving the division? 155 Khabib or 205 John Jones?
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
What's your thoughts on that
one?
I think 205 benefits more. I think 55 is healthy with or without Khabib. I think it's healthier with Khabib, obviously, but I think it's a damn healthy division even without him. I think 205 was kind of stagnant, and that's not. And this kind of comes back to that thing about dominant champions that we've talked about before. As in, people get bored by greatness. Like I can't remember. So I had this kind of discussion with someone there one day. It was about Lewis Hamilton, who's like amazingly dominant in F1 the last number of years.
Yeah.
And it's just because he wins races. And someone said to me, well, it's boring just watching Lewis Hamilton win all the time. But like, people get bored by greatness very quickly. And when I said the division was stagnant, I mean, it was just John v contender, as in there was nothing exciting coming up. So I think now there's some more fun storylines that can be made with 205 now that John's gone.
Yeah, I see that. I think it's fairly even. Like, I think the argument you can make for either guy leaving and how it benefits the division is similar. I think the thing of having a champion there who was very popular, Khabib was very popular, John was very popular, and having that guy to fight, like potentially getting a title fight against them, I think that's always good for contenders. So I think they lose it in that sense as well. But I think you're probably right. John leaving because he's been so dominant at the top and nobody's really got close. So, like, I mean, Khabib has been dominant, but he's only been champion for a few fights now. So there was not always an option there. So I don't know. It's a good question though. Good question.
It is. And just on that again, like, that's not me. As in, it's really only casual fans or people who kind of tune in and tune out who get bored by that greatness.
Yeah.
Like, it happened. It happened.
Oh, it does happen. Yeah, it does happen.
So many examples. As in Barcelona, that Barcelona team of the late 2010s, early 2010s. People got bored by that. They're saying they're just passing it about, and I was like, yeah, but it's beautiful to watch. Like, just because they're winning all the time doesn't make it boring.
Yeah.
People
it's
just like
more impressive that they can win so consistently.
It's nearly a whole different argument, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Paul Mason.
I just seen something. Sorry, in the chat there. I meant to say it off or
What
when
was
you were
it?
talking about point. Greg Hardy missed weight.
Oh, did he? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. Ugh,
He has
unbelievable.
by a pound. He was 266.5. That's so bad missing weight. Fucking heavyweight, man.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not great. It's not great. Paul Mason, Rob, I saw your tweet about Jones challenging Khabib's claim for pound. I agree that currently Khabib's higher on the pound for pound list, but he doesn't overtake Jones in the GOAT discussion for me.
How
Did I tweet
fucking
about that?
salty was
Did I tweet
John
about that?
Jones? How I tweeted about it. I think how
Yeah.
fucking salty was John Jones? Read the room, John. Like, I mean, fair
Just get,
enough.
yeah.
If he wants to come out on the fight was Saturday. If he wants to come out on Tuesday and
Yeah.
say, yeah, I think I'm number one. Fair enough. Like, the dude lost his dad. He was crying in the cage
Yeah.
with his family and his teammates, and just leave him, let him have his moment, will you?
And also, really, like realistically, it's the GOAT discussion. Like, who really
Yeah.
cares? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
It's
fun
a
discussion.
non-existent. It's a non-existent thing.
It's a fun discussion to have among fans and journalists or something. But if you're a fighter, you shouldn't even care about that discussion.
Yeah.
Really,
I can't understand this
silly.
obsession of the pound for pound thing that this title doesn't exist amongst fight.
I know.
It's basically just a pissing contest of who has a bigger dick. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you want to get really deep into it, you're getting into like the steroid discussion and all this. And Jones
Yeah.
has nowhere to stand there. So whatever. I do agree.
He-
Though. I think Jones probably still is the GOAT if you want to have that discussion. But John, as Sean said, read the fucking room. Like
yeah,
who cares? And give the guy his fucking moment. You know.
yeah. Even the GOAT discussions are funny, and I was reading a bit on this during the week, and it's like it's such a stupid discussion as well, and it's a fun one between fans. But like, what are the parameters for the GOAT? As in, are we talking just fighting? Are we taking like outside the cage stuff? Are we talking as a human? Because everyone has, even Khabib has questionable stuff. I don't know if you
Yeah.
read that article I sent you earlier in the week. I mean, Khabib, when you read some of the stuff, isn't exactly the greatest human outside the cage either. Bit sexist, bit of a misogynist,
Yeah.
bit conservative. But like, is that relevant to the GOAT discussion? Is John running over pregnant people like relevant to the GOAT discussion?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Like,
nobody
'cause
knows.
I guess if you want to just say greatest fighter of all time, just leave it to what goes on in the cage. Fair
Yeah.
enough. But other kind of external influences come into the conversation as well, which is
I even seen a good point made about Anderson Silva and the GOAT discussion, and it was like Anderson didn't pop until after he broke his leg. So what happened after that shouldn't necessarily affect how he's viewed before that. I thought it was an interesting point, but the problem with
Yeah.
popping at any point is it raises questions of what you were doing before that.
yeah. It's a
It's just a big rabbit hole. I'm after rambling there a little bit, but it is just a big rabbit hole, that discussion.
it's an absolute rabbit hole. There was a question actually about the pay-per-view boys in the community tab because this got a lot of press, I thought. So it appeared
Ain't talking Brown.
it appeared that it done 500,000 boys. Was that worldwide, was it? Or US?
So 675, I believe, was the 675K, I believe, was the worldwide number.
Yeah, okay. Well, John C. actually asked about this in the community tab and wanted our thoughts on why Dana's prediction was so wrong. And he gave kind of three theories. Dana doesn't look at the numbers and just tries to say shit to drive interest, which is probably fair. Number two, they tried to correlate social media engagement to boys, forgetting that Russia and Middle East and other parts of Europe got it for free. And then three, a lot of people bought it early and they expected that trend to continue. But then the time change wasn't publicized, etc., and didn't follow through. To be honest, I think he's probably on the ball with all three of those. I think there's a bit of all that.
Truth in all of them.
Because you can't compare this pay-per-view with, say, which one done quite well? The Colby fight done quite well, didn't it? Colby
Izzy's done quite well as well.
He's done quite well.
The Tony and Justin one done very well.
You're not comparing like for like products with them because of the time difference. The time difference is real. It's absolutely real. And the casual fans are the guys and girls who are driving your pay-per-view boys.
Yeah.
And if they get interested, they generally know this fight is on at whatever time o'clock in America. And when it's not that does change things as well with the whole social media thing. I'm sure there's part of
Dana
that
does
as
that a
well.
lot with pay per views that like are coming up. He'll talk this fight's tracking. Like, what does tracking mean? As in, he does talk about social engagement where he'll mention embedded views,
Yeah,
and I mean embedded views. I don't care on any planet cannot be used to gauge how successful a pay per view is going to be. And
you might.
I know what he means, as in that
Yeah,
people are interested in the fight, but like, are people interested enough to buy the pay per view? Then I don't think social engagement is really.
it's a hard thing to correlate, you know. But I'm
Yeah,
sure
it is.
they must have some kind of models running that estimate this kind of thing, because you have to. They're a business; they have to do projections. You know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I do think there's probably a part, like a little bit of each one of those. Like Dana does talk brown; he talks absolute garbage. But I also think we were looking at it as well. There seemed to be a huge amount of interest. Like, I was getting text messages from people who don't normally watch MMA. You
Yeah.
got one asking
I
about
got a
the
couple
Khabib
there.
fight, Connor. So there was definite interest around it, and I think all of those make sense. I think, yeah, good question.
The last point you mentioned was the what was number 3?
The early boys, people
Yeah,
pre-buy.
I seen a bit of talk of this that the change wasn't publicized, and I thought it was advertised. Like, I had seen a couple of tweets mentioned where it was being advertised on ESPN, and like, it was only after the fight that I seen some Americans complaining. And now I don't feel too sorry for Americans having to watch one pay per view early in the day,
Which
never
would be
mind
nice, yeah.
early in the morning. But I find it hard to believe that the UFC wouldn't have publicized well the change in time as well.
See, I'm sure they did, but like, we would see that being advertised because
I
we,
suppose,
you know,
yeah.
have our ear to the ground, but casual fans just don't. You know, maybe they're not general sports fans. They don't watch telly. I don't watch telly. I wouldn't know unless you know, I was actually seeking it out. So,
Yeah. One more thing, sorry, before we move on that one. You know, there's always like those standard embedded phrases that they
yeah,
do, or like scenes that they use. A
like
standard
getting your hair
Dana
cut and
pay
all.
per view, yeah, and the suitcase stuff in
Yeah, yeah,
the airport. A standard fight week of a pay per view. Dana always says this thing's tracking off the charts.
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
That exact phrase is always used by Dana White in the
yeah,
fight week of a pay per view.
yeah. Just look for it.
Yeah,
It's fight week bingo. Just
yeah.
knock that off. It's guaranteed. Um, Costello said Chisora and Usyk as well as tomorrow. That's could be a good fight.
Good fight.
Usyk looks good.
I think Chisora might be worth the little punt. I haven't fully come round to it yet. Yeah, I think I haven't fully come round to the idea of backing him yet, but I'm getting there. I think there's enough. We've only seen Usyk at one fight at heavyweight.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably question marks over how hard he hits at heavyweight. I think he's unquestionably one of the best cruiserweights of all time. But yeah, questions over how hard he can hit at heavyweight. Chisora has a chin. We've seen that. So yeah, I think there's enough, maybe enough there for me to have a go at 5-1 on Chisora. So
yeah. Aiden said he hates the GOAT discussion as well. It's like listening to barbers in New York discussing who the best heavyweight boxer is. Like, yes, I do agree. As I said, I think it's a ridiculous conversation in ways. Can be fun, you know, can be fun. But, like, nobody's correct. Nobody's right.
Exactly.
You know?
Because everyone has a different definition of what the GOAT means.
Yeah.
As well, so.
Like, do you take out guys who were popping for steroids while the guys who they were probably fighting who were on the GOAT list just didn't pop, but like most likely were doing steroids? It's a weird one. Costello thinks that Chisora might get it done as well. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's the card on this weekend as well, Sean. I want to talk about it. Anderson Silva, potentially his last dance, maybe, possibly, maybe in the UFC, could go to Bellator or something. But it seemed like they were promoting it in that way. They were saying that this is Anderson Silva's last fight, and then Anderson came out and said, we'll see, in typical MMA fashion. So what's your bet? You know, you're a betting man. Do you think that this is Anderson Silva's last fight?
I think we knew anyway. I think we kind of had the idea that that mug is massive, Rob. Jesus.
I know, yeah. A lot of coffee.
That's like a litre, is it?
I don't know, actually.
It looks bigger than a standard mug. I'm not sure the
it's definitely bigger
than a mug now, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely bigger than a standard mug.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, I get distracted very easily. Yeah, I think we kind of had an inkling that Anderson Silva, his retirement might be one of the most MMA retirements of all time. I'm not totally surprised, really. Are you?
Not surprised, no, because it's MMA. Now, the weird thing about Anderson, right, is that he was threatening retirement years ago when he was still the
Yeah.
champ. So it wouldn't have surprised me either if he just said, "Yeah, I'm done. I've done too much in this sport." But it does seem like he's still trying to recreate the old Anderson Silva, the great Anderson Silva, which I respect in a way, but at the same time, I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. But he has a bit of a test this weekend against Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall, I mean, he's been unbelievably inconsistent. That's probably the story of his career.
Consistently inconsistent, you could probably say.
Exactly. But I think it could be an interesting fight. If I had to answer my own question, I don't think it's going to be Anderson's last fight, but I'd probably like if it was. As I said, I don't see him really doing a whole lot more. I was listening to I think it was Luke Thomas's live chat or something, and he was talking about this fight, and he was saying that even if Anderson beats Uriah Hall, which right now would be a very good win, it would a very good win, but it doesn't compare to anything that Anderson Silva has done in the past. And nothing that he does going forward will compare to anything that he has done. So, I don't know.
I agree. I think that's a good point to make, as in what really is left for Anderson to do in the sport that can add to his legacy?
Nothing. I mean, he's still making money, so let's not stop a man making money. But in terms of legacy, which, again, it's kind of like the GOAT discussion. Do fighters really care about the legacy at the end of the day? Maybe some of them do, maybe some of them don't. Maybe when you get to a point like Anderson Silva he's like, fuck my legacy, I'm making a lot of money on these fights and I'm just going to continue to do it. But he's not the same guy. Now, one of the reasons why I feel like he's not the same guy is because Anderson has good fight IQ, right? Of course, we've seen it. But sometimes he actively fights against that fight IQ. He'll fight somebody, he'll stand up against the cage in the most vulnerable position ever and use his reflexes to get away from shots just to counter, which isn't the smartest thing to do in the world. But when you're Anderson Silva back in the day, who had amazing reflexes, great timing, great counter puncher, it was brilliant. When you're Anderson Silva right now, and those reflexes aren't quite as good, your timing isn't quite as good, although it's still pretty good. It's more his reflexes. Your speed isn't as good. It's probably not the best thing to be doing, and I think that's when Anderson Silva was at his greatest, when he could put that kind of game plan together and actually fulfill it. I'm not quite sure he could do that these days, and I think that's partially why he's not really having as much success as he used to have.
Yeah, I can imagine as well. It's hard for him to probably what's the word I'm looking for? Not realize, but like understand that his reflex isn't what he used to be, and he still thinks he's probably still doing it in training.
Yeah.
And realize that like he can't just do it. Like, there's split seconds slower than you were back in the day. And we've said this before. The fighters are just addicted to it. They're forever chasing like what they were or that peak, and it's hard for them to get away from that. Even just looking at Uriah Hall, actually, speaking of consistently inconsistent, some of the wins he has in his record are insane.
Yeah.
Has wins over Chris Lieben, Thiago Santos, Gegard. I think we'll speak about him in a bit.
Yeah, then he lost that one. Then he
got lost that one again.
Pretty
but
badly.
Like he hasn't fought that much.
No, he hasn't. And at the end of the day as well, Uriah Hall isn't young. He's 36 years old.
Yeah.
So he's not young either. And he has a lot less fights than Anderson Silva does. Probably, he's not as, I'm not going to say punch drunk, because Anderson's not punch drunk, because Anderson actually barely gets hit. If you still look at his stats, he barely gets hit. But it's Uriah's a weird one. Like, he's a guy who I don't like betting on. So, I probably wouldn't touch this one in terms of betting.
He's a heavy favourite.
I'm sure he's a heavy favourite. I'm absolutely sure of that. He has some decent wins lately, but Anderson Silva, man, I miss the old Anderson Silva big time.
Yeah, and this kind of comes back to, I wanted to make this point about Khabib, but I think I probably am somewhat of an outlier in this, but I like the idea, right, of Khabib leaving now and just disappearing and never coming back. And there's that, like, the thing with actors who die young and they kind of get mythologized.
Yeah.
Because of the way they died young, and they didn't have enough time to like tarnish their legacy, being pedophiles basically, or something like that. They didn't have enough time to like have any bad shit. So they just get mythologized as these great people. I love the idea of Khabib right now, 29-0. There's some chips on the table, that there's some question marks there for people to talk about. That's fun to me. I think that's so cool. if a fighter could actually do that. I thought Zidane, I'm changing sports again, but I thought Zinedine Zidane was going to do it at Real Madrid
Mm.
when he, at his first spell, came in and won like 3 Champions Leagues in 4 years or something like that, then left and had no intent, said he had no intention of taking another job. And I was like, that's fucking sick. That's so
Yeah.
cool. And now he's come back and he's kind of stinking it out a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would love if like Anderson had have retired, maybe not his peak, but like before now, probably, to be honest. And like it wasn't even that long ago. Anderson was in a main event against Israel Adesanya, and one of the judges scored that fight 29-28.
It's crazy, yeah. Anderson looked all right in that fight.
Yeah.
And because Izzy played his game partially, which I don't think Uriah Hall's going to do. But I do agree. Like, I mean, as you said, with Khabib, it could happen. Gertz st-pierre has kind of done it. We don't know if he's going to come back. If he doesn't come back, he kind of done it. All right, like I argue, yes, he did do it, 100% done it, because he came back and won the...
I think you could definitely argue GSP did it, yeah.
Like, I think if he left after the Johnny Hendricks fight and left it there, when that was very close and he probably did lose it, I think some people would say, oh, well, GSP was past his best there. You know, he should have lost that fight, and technically he's gone out on a loss. And whether you agree with the decision or not, but after coming back beating Michael Bisping and then leaving again, like, GSP is kind of... You just don't see it. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Again, it's that addiction thing again. I seen Mark O'Toole says, sponsored by Lucozade. I wish, Mark. I fucking wish. I was buying Lucozade for a while. I'm doing all right now. Quite like back on my running buzz and getting out and exercising quite a lot at the minute. But for the first lockdown here in Ireland, I was very bad. I was buying one of my mates works in a cash and carry, which I don't know if if you're in America, you have cash and carries, but they're like where you can buy stuff in like wholesale amounts. And so we used to call around to my house with like wholesale amounts of Lucozade at cost price for me. And I was buying like 36 bottles of Lucozade at a time.
That's not great for you, Sean.
No, but it's tasty.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Drink Lucozade.
Make sure you get your questions in. We're probably going to go till the top of the hour. And like the video, all that jazz. Doesn't Silva, this is Baby Drew, doesn't Silva have like 2 to 3 more fights left on his contract with the UFC? I don't believe so. I believe there may be one left. And I'm not sure exactly. Obviously, we haven't seen the contract. But from what I've seen, he possibly has one left, but no more than that.
I think that's kind of irrelevant as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
As in, guys can retire, and those contracts are like indefinite as well. You can be stuck with those for life, basically.
Yeah. Although maybe they're asking about whether he could go to Bellator or something. So that's probably why they're wondering. But usually, I don't know if it's with all fighters, but a lot of the time they have matching rights. So they can match the contract. Like say if Bellator offer or something, they can match. But I'm not sure if that's only on a championship contract. I'm
pretty sure on all contracts, if you fight out your contract, the UFC basically have a first last option on it.
Yeah. So
they get first offer basically. You can accept or reject that.
Yeah.
Or there's like a 6-month exclusivity period after your last fight where they can negotiate with you.
Yeah.
After that, then you're free.
Fair. Costello, Kevin Holland, Bryce Mitchell, Bobby Green, some guys that are always fun to watch on this card. Yes, there actually is some really fun guys. Bryce Mitchell is...
Big fan of him, even though he's a massive hick.
But he's very impressive. He's a very impressive fighter. His last performance was against Rosa, wasn't it?
It was
Charles Rosa.
Yeah.
One of the funnest. I think that was like the opener of the prelims or the opener of the main card or something. I don't know. It was low down on one of the cards anyway. And he must have went for about 16 twisters in one round.
Yeah.
His groundwork is phenomenal. Constantly goes for submissions. But also like he wasn't losing position too much. His grappling was effective. And he's coming up against a guy in Touchy-Feely who has good grappling too. Probably would prefer to stay on the feet. But I think this could be a really, really good fight. That's definitely one to watch out for. Definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah, I think this is a really good step up for Bryce. And it's kind of reflected in the price, actually.
Yeah.
Bryce is only 8 to 11 and Feely is 11 to 10. So, yeah, I think it's a good matchup for Bryce to sort of test what he can do. Feely's going to want to keep it on the feet. If he can do that, we'd be interested to see what Bryce can do there because we know how good his ground game is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he can do in the feet, and if it does get taken into some deep waters, what happens.
Yeah. Also, as they said, Bobby Green on the card. Bobby Green has been looking excellent lately, and his post-fight interviews have probably been even better. So very interested to see how he gets on.
He's been living on Fight Island or on these Vegas cards, hasn't he?
Yeah.
This is like his 4th or 5th one.
Yeah, so he had one in June against Clay Guida, won that one. All decisions, but like all very impressive. Then Lando Venata in August, and then September, Alan Patrick, and now Thiago Moises in now. So
that's another guy who might not have got these kind of opportunities if he didn't have the pandemic. I think I said this to you before, but there's been so many guys who this pandemic has been amazing for. Guys who will step out and fight anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Not guys like Edson Barboza who say, yeah, anytime, anywhere, January please, and here and at this weight.
Yeah, it's really good for those kind of fighters, really is. Costello, did you guys see Uriah Hall saying Izzy has fought easy fights, even though guys he knocked Hall out? Really funny stuff. Oh, he said he beat knocked Hall out. Oh, fair enough. Did he say that?
Yeah, he said Izzy's been handpicking fights, and you're just like, I know you have to shit talk dude because he's the champion or whatever, but like he's fought Gastelum, he's fought Silva, he's fought Whitaker, he's fought Costa, and he's fought Romero. Like, and he did handpick those fights because he wanted them, but they're not exactly easy fights to be cherry picking.
Yeah, that's not the best trash talk I've ever seen in my life. Not very accurate anyway. Baby Drew, hands down, head movement, Silva scares me sometimes. Absolutely. The stuff he done against Forrest Griffin was magical. Unbelievable. Stephan Bonner, that one was magical as well. But, it was Bonner. Although Bonner on the juice after a beautiful spray tan or tanning beds, whatever he was doing. Still very impressive. But yeah, Anderson Silva had amazing head movement back in the day. Still showed glimpses of it though in his last few fights, so it'd be great to see an old Anderson Silva performance. Little fucking step back, counter fucking right hand or something.
I think if you saw that, then he'd probably fight on for another 7 fights.
Probably, yeah. I seen a picture today actually. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll send it to you after this. If people in the chat, go check it out on Reddit. Someone put up a picture of Anderson Silva back in the day. I think it was even Pride when he was fighting down at 170. And he was just absolutely shredded. Like whatever he was on, he was probably on something, I don't know. But his veins were just fucking protruding out of his biceps. It was unbelievable looking. Shredded.
I am like that. My veins are a bit like that, as in they're protruding out of my body, except I'm not fucking shredded now. But
But you want to say
it does look quite weird sometimes.
This was Anderson. This was unbelievable stuff though. Anderson like you've never seen him before.
I can't believe I just compared myself to Anderson Silva though.
You have better head movement. That's
head movement.
Yeah. Edmund Taverdian told me. Marco Till, does Anderson retiring signal the end of old era UFC passing on? Yeah. Like, who else left from that era? Not many, right?
There's a few kicking about. Like
a few kicking about, but yeah.
Robbie Lawler, Cowboy.
Yeah, I suppose.
Kicking about. I mean, Dan Hardy's been promoting the idea of a Legends division, and I'm not against that really at all.
Yeah, I suppose.
If you're going to match the guys up, match them up against each other.
Yeah.
I don't love the idea of a Legends division.
I think it is an end of an era, though, if he does retire.
Yeah.
But there is a few guys. Shogun is still knocking about, isn't he? Jesus.
Yeah, there's a few guys in them heavier divisions still fucking kicking about.
Yeah, I actually rewatched Shogun's run in the 2005 Grand Prix in Pride. I think it was 2005. Fucking unbelievable stuff. Beat Arona. Beat who else did he beat? He beat Arona. Alistair, I think it was. Somebody else, but unbelievable.
I was thinking of because we
Rampage as well. Rampage. Sorry.
We don't have like a lot to do at the minute. I think some weekend there's like a quiet weekend of sport. I might build a fantasy card and watch it some Saturday or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do one each, like, and then watch each other's.
Yeah, give us some suggestions for Sean's fantasy card in the chat.
And like I'm talking like a full 12 fight card as well.
12 fight card.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then you can organise it into like what becomes the main event.
Yeah.
Now put them in the right positions. You need a good opener. You know.
Yeah.
By a lot of cans.
This is what we want going into the paper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brilliant. Did you see, this is John C. Did you see Robbie Lawler is out versus Mike Perry? Oh no. Perry said that he wants to fight Hamzat the same night Hamzat is fighting Leon Edwards.
Probably wants to fight his missus the same night.
Yeah. Was there not like some kind of domestic abuse allegations against Mike Perry? Like, not that that's
There
surprising.
was, yeah.
But recently, right? How is he not out?
His ex came out and said that he was abusive, and her story was that. Sorry, I don't mean her story like negatively in that she's lying, but like what she said was, he was coming after her one night, and she went to Perry's mother's house, and Perry's mother locked him out of the house and called the police. Like,
I seen that, yeah. There was a statement, and it was a statement from the mother, wasn't there? Perry's mother saying he was violent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
again,
he doesn't sound like a guy who is.
Listen, we've seen Mike Perry on the telly for long enough. We've seen the videos of him in the. Remember, he was in the restaurant or something, and he was fucking going for some old lad or some, woman, was it? I can't remember who it was, but he's fucking tapped anyway. Doesn't seem like the most stable of individual.
He doesn't, and it's not nice to watch.
No.
It's not fun. I also don't think it's a guy that the UFC should necessarily want to be associated with. That's another can of worms, because then like there's loads of other guys the UFC don't associate, so nearly at this stage can't get involved with any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like, I'll be honest, he has a bit of a. I hope to God that he's not this bad, and he, his situation doesn't turn out like this. I'm sure it won't, because this is one of the worst. But he has a bit of a War Machine vibe about him. Remember War Machine? He's in prison now.
He's a guy, like, we've all seen the stats about NFL players post career and the domestic abuse stats.
Yeah.
I think don't quote me on it, but I've seen a report that the MMA fighters actually have a higher percentage of domestic abuse post career. It's not good. So, like, there probably needs to be better support for these guys. If you had a union, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that the union provides to fighters.
That's
again, another rabbit hole.
Never gonna happen. John C. Hamzat also tweeted that he wants 3 fights in one night. Obviously, no commission will pass on this, right? No, they wouldn't. He's a bit of a lunatic, Hamzat. I'm not sure how, like, if he's just playing some games there, saying that, because he knows it's not gonna happen. It's like when fucking random mixed martial artists or random boxer calls out an MMA fighter and it's never gonna happen, or that kind of fucking shite, like. Or when a Bellator fighter says, "Oh, Dana White, send your champion over here and we'll fight." It's like, yeah, mate, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, or like when a guy pulls out of a fight and someone tweets 2 days before the fight, "I'll fight him," and like, it's not going to happen. But like, it's all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Costello also said, "Guys, I think Brian Kelleher versus Sean O'Malley would be a great test for Sean if he can if he can. I can't read that from here. Is it beat Brian? Yeah." I like that. I like that fight. That's a very good fight. Brian Kelleher has looked very good lately.
Yeah, he's had a couple of fights on the behind closed doors shows. I think he's won a couple, lost one, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boom Boom's a lot of fun to watch. I like that fight.
Yeah, I like it too. Let's do it. Go for that one.
Boom Boom's a great nickname as well. Big fan of that.
Yeah, it is. Joey Cruz, what fight would you rather see? Prime Silva versus Adesanya or Prime BJ versus Khabib? Wow.
Oh.
I'm just going to say the BJ against Khabib Prime just for now, because we've seen Silva Adesanya. Granted, it was Silva way after his prime, and it would have been amazing to see that at his prime, but we got a taste of it. We got a little bit of a taste of it. We haven't seen anything like that, and BJ in his prime was amazing. Now, I think either way, I don't think either guy is going to win, the older guy. You could maybe make an argument for Silva, but I think that's a tough fight for BJ Penn with the wrestling, even though BJ Penn had probably the best takedown defense ever in his era. Unbelievable stuff, but still, I think it's a bad matchup. Just, the sport has evolved so much. But yeah, I like that. It's fun.
I was gonna say Prime Silva versus Adesanya, but then your logic made sense in that we've already got a taste of it. So I was like, damn, you're up, you made sense.
Yeah, just because a taste of your own.
And also, I don't think we see Adesanya without Prime Silva, so that was that as well.
Fair. John says Sean's fantasy card main event: Brendan Shaw versus Travis Brown. Sean would love that. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Yeah, I'd love that. I love them to both spark each other. That's just natural selection then at its finest.
It's Travis Brown absolutely annihilated Brendan Shaw. Joey Cruz, can we really build a custom fight card for you? Because I'll fucking do that. Yes, go for it.
Joey, make me,
Yeah,
make me one now.
yeah,
Well, not now, but like
yeah.
I
You
will
can
actually
think
watch
about
it
it a little bit.
because we're locked down again in Ireland for the next what are we
Yeah.
a week in, Rob? We've another 5 weeks of being
Are we only a
indoors.
week in?
Is it 2?
I think it's 2. Can't be a week.
I
Is it a
don't know.
week? It could be a week.
I have no concept
Holy
of time, Rob.
fuck. Jesus Christ.
Maybe it's a week and a half. I don't know. I'm probably after giving you wicked bad vibes there.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm feeling
it
it
makes no difference to me. I only leave the house to go for a walk or go for a run, so
Yeah.
I've got nothing but time. So if you want to make me a fantasy fight card, absolutely, by all means, do it, and I will watch it, and I will talk about it on here for you, and I will rate it.
Sweet. Costello, there's a really good prospect on this card. Yanez from the Contender Series. Let me see if I remember this guy. Yanez. Where is he?
You might do. You watch a lot of the Contender Series.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Oh, wait. Was he on this? Oh, yeah, he was good. He was good. Yeah, he
Who's
was
fighting?
good.
Adrian Yanez, Victor Rodriguez.
From what I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, he was the guy who, like, Dana White was like, no brainer, you're in straight away.
I think quite a lot of people are on that buzz as well because he's 2-5, or no, 1-5. Sorry, to win.
Jesus.
So
the thing with the Contender Series this year is like everybody's getting a contract because you showed up to Vegas, you don't have COVID, and you can fight.
Yeah.
So like Dana's like, oh, stay here and we can get you a fight in 2 weeks because we need to fill these cards.
hang around, and if someone falls out, we'll get you a fight.
But that's taking nothing away from him. He looks really good. Joey Cruz will have a card next show ready for you,
Deadly.
Sean.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Costello, it already feels like we've been in lockdown for about a month. I agree.
Yeah.
It feels a long time. Fuck, man.
Living in Cavan is like a fucking permanent lockdown, man.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to do.
I want to get to a couple of things before we wrap up. As I said, like the video, subscribe, all that jazz. But there was the card this weekend. We could do quick picks on that one. Bellator was on last night, which is weird. Thursday night card.
It wasn't on that late.
Wasn't it?
No, the main event was on around 1 o'clock.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
I didn't realise because we probably would have stayed up to watch it if I knew that.
I watched it this morning. But anyway, in your main event, Gegard Mousasi won the middleweight title against Douglas Lima. In my opinion, Sean, it was a fairly flat performance from both, but particularly from Douglas Lima, who just seemed not to be able to get out of second gear. Now, I think Gegard done a great job in the first round establishing that takedown, and I think that really threw Douglas Lima off, who has in the past had trouble with guys who can take him down. We've seen it. But it seemed like after Gegard showed that he could take him down and landed some really nasty ground and pound from the top, that Lima kind of got in his own head and just didn't throw his shots. Landed a few decent leg kicks, but it wasn't enough. And I think, in my opinion, he's probably lucky to win a round, but I'd probably give Gegard all 5, if not 4. Good win for Gegard Mousasi. I think the narrative now is that, man, was that a bad performance from Douglas Lima? And I think yes, but also I think you got to give Gegard some credit. Yeah,
I agree. I think it was a pretty bad performance from Douglas Lima, but I think Gegard done a good job of neutralising and making it a bad performance in that Lima was afraid to necessarily throw a lot of shots at Mousasi. Wasn't that exciting a fight. It was 50-45 Gegard for me. I don't know who the fuck scored that 48-47. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the weird scorecard.
Like they had the striking numbers up quite regularly in the fight, and like I don't know how you can score that 48-47.
Yeah, Mousasi was in complete control in that fight. I don't understand it. Also on the card, the co-main event, I thought was a pretty good fight. Henry Corrales wins by split decision over Brandon Gertz. I missed the Jake Hager fight, but I heard that it was a bit of a dodgy decision. So I don't know about that one, but I seen his face was in bits. I know Adam Boric got a nice win after losing his last time out. So yeah, it was an alright kind of couple of fights. I thought it was disappointing, that main event. I was expecting a lot more from Douglas Lima. Hopefully he can put in a way better performance next time, and probably in a welterweight contest. So we'll see there. One championship as well was on today. If anyone saw it, you'll agree with me when I say it was very, very good. In the main event, De Ritter beat Anglia, and all 3 title fights. Well, there's 4 title fights in the card, but I didn't actually watch the women's title fight, the flyweight one. But all 3 title fights, I believe, were upsets, at least according to Tapology. Ton Lee beat Martin Nguyen. Christian Lee, who I'm surprised was an underdog. Maybe he wasn't on the odds, but a lot of people were high on Yuri Lapicus. But that was incredible. You want to see this, Sean, right? So
Okay.
Christian Lee takes down Lapicus, gets mount.
Yeah.
Lapicus hip bumps, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Lee posts. But then Lapicus done this thing where I've never seen it before, where he like threw his legs back over, which I've seen before to get a sweep that way. But instead of like trying to pull Christian Lee back over the way you'd normally do and like grab the legs under the hair and pull him back, he like came out underneath almost into like a Boston crab, and then went for a straight footlock, which was amazing. But then unfortunately put himself in a bad position and got finished immediately by strikes. But it was a really good fight, and the Ton Lee fight was great too. I'd recommend, it's on the One Championship app. I'd recommend go download it.
Okay, might go back and watch it.
At least watch them 3 fights, because I just said
Are all these cards available for free in the app?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I must get to download that.
I'd recommend it. It was really, really good. Get your questions in really quick. As I said, we'll try to get to them really quick, but I want to kind of just give quick picks on the card as well this weekend, Sean.
Quick, because yeah,
it's
a grand card.
It's grand, but I just want to kind of give picks. But let's jump into a few more questions. Douglas Lima, Tyron Woodley, was that? Douglas Tyron Woodley Lima. Oh, Douglas Tyron Woodley Lima.
I took you a second, Rob, didn't I?
Yeah, I get it. I thought you were saying, should they fight or something? I'm like, what are you talking about? Yes, that was a very Tyron Woodley later in his career performance by Douglas Lima. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. I don't think so. I think Bellator is cannibalizing their big names in an already shallow divisions by all of the 2 divisional champs and people moving up and down. I don't know.
There's only so long you can go by not matching your top guys against each other.
Yeah, like I understand with this one because it was Douglas Lima coming up, but the title was vacant. There was no other real fighters there. I don't think, like with Lovato gone. Yeah, I don't completely agree with that, but I understand what you mean. Joey Cruz, how does the current Musasi do against Adesanya, and would you want to see it? I think Adesanya probably wins that fairly handily, to be honest.
Agree.
Don't have a lot of interest in it. Quick picks this weekend, Sean. Main event, who have you got? Anderson Silva versus Uriah Hall.
Yeah, I suppose you're really looking at which Uriah Hall turns up. I mean, at the price, he's 4-9. I couldn't have him at that because he's just not reliable enough. But I think if he turns up, he should win. So yeah, I'll take Uriah, but there's an asterisk beside it probably.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm gonna take Uriah, but I'd never bet on Uriah. So that kind of goes to show you how much confidence I have in him. Bryce Mitchell, Andre Feely.
I'll take Bryce Mitchell. I think he's a fighter on the up. I think it's a good test for him. But yeah, I hope he gets through it. I think he's someone who I'm a little bit excited about, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Kevin Holland against Charlie Otinveros. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm going to go Kevin Holland.
On this one.
I'll go Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland's a weird fighter. He fights. He has a very strange style, but very rangy. Very unorthodox, both on the ground and on the feet. I like the way he fights. Again, he's a guy who I wouldn't particularly want to bet on, but I think this one's probably fairly wide in terms of the odds. I don't know what they are, but I'd say they're fairly wide.
They don't seem to have odds on it here, which is funny. But yeah, I'll take Kevin Holland as well, I think. Yeah.
Greg Hardy, I missed weight versus Maurice.
He made weight actually the second attempt there. Yeah. He made 264.5. Yeah, the fat bastard.
Who have you got? Maurice Gray and Greg Hardy.
Yeah, this is the heavyweight fight on the card, isn't it? That's all it is, really. Greg Hardy, where are the odds? Yeah. I might take Morris Green here.
Yeah, I don't think you call him Morris Green.
What is it?
I think it's Maurice, but like
Maurice. We'll call him Morris.
Morris sounds better.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's you're actually definitely right there now that I think of it in my head.
Yeah. Morris.
Maurice. Well, see, every time I hear Maurice, I think of is it Penguins of Madagascar?
What?
Have you?
No, I've never seen it.
For anyone who's seen it, is Maurice. Is he like the penguin or something? King Julian. Someone in the chat will get it.
I know King Julian. I've seen the original Madagascar.
Yeah, King Julian.
But yes.
I'll take Maurice.
Morris.
Sorry, I have it in my head now. He's a big price. He's just under 7-2. So yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I
don't think Greg Hardy is that good of a fighter. He hasn't really improved that much. But as I always say with Greg Hardy, if you're not if you're not an elite, but if you're not a very good heavyweight, you probably won't beat him because he's very athletic. I don't know if his weight cut was bad or it's just he's a massive guy, which he is a massive guy.
Yeah, I'd say he's just.
But yeah, I'll go Greg Hardy. Bobby Green, Thiago Moses, or Moises. I'm gonna go with Bobby Green. He's on a streak.
Yeah, Bobby Green as well.
Yeah, Alexander Hernandez versus Chris Grutzmacher.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on this. Like Alexander Hernandez looked good early on, and he ran into and then recently he's looked fairly middling. He hasn't looked great. I might take a pop at Chris Grutzmacher, but I'm not usually confident in that. But I might take.
He's been quite inactive as well. Hernandez, like I think a lot of people remember him for the loss to Cowboy back in January 2019. I'm just looking at it here. Then he got a win over Francisco Trinaldo, July 2019. Then he fought Drew Dober in May of this year. Like, not massively active.
Yeah.
I might take a punt on Grutzmacher as well. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah, he's 7-2. I might take a punt on that.
Yeah, like I think I know Alexander Hernandez has fought the better competition and has beat the better competition. Like Chris's best win is against Joe Lauzon in 2018. I mean, not great. Joe Lauzon's a legend, but that's not great. So I'll just take a punt on him because I think Alexander Hernandez is there to be beaten, to be honest. I just, not particularly by him, but just there to be beaten in general. His chin seems to be a bit wobbly. Adrian Yanez against Victor Rodriguez. I'll take Yanez because he's the guy from the Contender Series who looked amazing.
Yeah, Yanez as well for me.
Yeah. Strickland against Jack Marshman. I'll take Sean Strickland. I like Sean Strickland. I think he's a good fighter, but again, similarly, can put in great performances, sometimes a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, Marshman's a guy who came from Cage Warriors as well. I'd like to see him put in a good performance here. Yeah. But I think Sean Strickland probably should be winning this one.
I think so. Jason Witt against Cole Williams. I think Witt wins that one. I wouldn't say Freddie Handy, but I'd say
Witt for me.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. Dustin Jacoby against Justin Ledet. Wasn't Justin Jacoby Dustin Jacoby, didn't he recently compete on the Contender Series, or am I wrong? Let me just double check that.
You're correct, back in the Ty Flores decision.
Yeah, because he had that stint in kickboxing and stuff. It looked like he got better.
A lot of kickboxing fights.
Yeah, in Glory, wasn't it?
Glory. He's had a Bellator fight there, a couple of Bellator fights.
I know he left the MMA to do a bit of kickboxing and he looked good. Justin Ledet looked decent for a while. He had some flashes of, I wouldn't say brilliance, but flashes of, this guy has potential. But hasn't looked great in some fights. I'm going to go with Jacoby. I think striking-wise, he's just a lot better.
Yeah, I think, Jacoby for me as well, comfortably.
Yeah. I assume he's a big price, is he?
Justin Ledet is 11-4, and just Dustin Jacoby. They are two horrible names to say back to back.
I know, yeah.
Dustin Jacoby is 1-4.
Fair. Courtney Casey, Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm gonna go with.
I believe this fight's off the card, Rob.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Apology still has it there.
One of them had issues with a weight cut, weight cut, and I believe slipped in a hotel room and banged her head. So they took her in.
That happens a lot. There was a
Yeah.
UFC card. It was like UFC 20 or something. I'm
They need to start
definitely wrong.
putting like rubber stuff on all the corners in the hotel
Yeah,
rooms,
yeah.
like
There was a
kids.
there was a card where it was like UFC 20 or somewhere around there. It was called UFC 20 First Defense. Probably not 20, but you know what I mean. First Defense was
Bring
the
back
title.
names on cards as
I
well.
know. And it was supposed to be Kevin Randleman's first defense, slipped and fell, and the fight was cancelled on the day. So they had a card called First Defense with no title defenses on it, which is hilarious.
Big fan of
Miles
that.
Miles Johns against Kevin Navidat. I'll go with Johns. Go with
Yeah.
Johns.
I'll take both guys only 10-1, 9-1. But yeah, I'll take Johns as well.
Yeah,
Might watch the prelims of this fight or this card and go to bed.
yeah, yeah. Apparently, according to Joey Cruz, Penguins in Madagascar is hilarious. Well done, Sean.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I think we got through all the questions, got through everything I wanted to talk about. Is there any closing words from you, Sean, about MMA or otherwise?
Stay safe. Look after yourself. Yeah. Stay safe and look after yourself.
Have you watched The Mandalorian?
No.
No, because sorry.
Not a Star Wars fan. I've watched the Marvel series, loved it. Watched Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
loved it. Bought the books for Lord of the Rings, reading them soon. Star Wars isn't for me.
Is it not for you because you haven't watched it, or is it not for you because you've tried to watch it?
I've looked at it. I haven't watched any of them in full. I've just looked at it and said that's not for me.
So you've just completely judged the book by its cover or the movie by its poster or whatever.
No, like I've seen bits of the movies and I'm like, this is silly. I can't get into this. That's so stupid as well to say. As in, I like Harry Potter, which is just lads fighting with fucking sticks, but
I just imagine
can't.
you sitting down watching it like, no, this is silly. Change the channel. Fuck this. I think you should check out Wash Your Hands Solo. Wash Your Hands Solo. Great stuff. I think you should watch one episode of The Mandalorian if you have Disney Plus.
I heard a lot about it.
You've ways
Baby
of
Yoda.
streaming things. Yeah, watch one episode. I think you'll like it. But season 2 is out, and I'm gonna watch that this weekend.
Is it good? Do you like it?
Yes, Mandalorian was excellent.
I remember when it came out first, people were saying this is one of the best TV shows in a long time.
It's really good.
And I've seen other reviews that say it's not so good. So yeah, I might give it a go.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite memes ever came from it, and it was like Baby Yoda playing with the radio in whatever spaceship he was in, and people like put Irish Ra tunes over this. It was so funny.
That's brilliant.
Twitter's undefeated, man.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do this weekend. I'm gonna watch that. Gonna watch some football. There's football on soon, isn't there?
I was gonna say, I don't know where you're gonna find the time to watch some Mandalorian or all the football that's on, Rob.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna watch all the football. I'll be selective with my football
I have
watching.
a schedule done out for myself of what
Do you?
football I'm watching. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Send me that schedule.
I want to watch more European football. I watched for the last months. I've watched all the Premier League. I want to watch more European football. So like La Liga, Bundesliga. So Serie A. I watch a bit of Serie A to be fair. But
how are you supposed to watch this fantasy MMA card if you watch 12 football matches a day?
I was thinking of booking a day off for it.
Joey Cruz said watch Ozark. Yeah, I've heard great things about Ozark. Yeah. Last night I watched. We're just rambling here, but I need to talk about it. Last night I rewatched What We Do in the Shadows. Have you seen that?
No.
Fucking hilarious. Now,
is it a movie?
It's a movie. There's a TV show out as well that I haven't watched that I've heard great things about. But it's a mockumentary, like The Office. But it's about vampires in New Zealand, and they're flattened together, so they live in a flat together. And it's the funniest thing ever. Taika Waititi directed it, who done Thor Ragnarok. And it's incredible. He's a genius. It's incredible.
Is it on Netflix or where is it?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, deadly. Have that.
So check that out.
The Office is amazing. Love that.
The Office is great, yeah. But there's a Halloween movie to watch, like outside the usual kind of remit of what people give you, like Hocus Pocus and all that shit.
Yeah.
Or watch Hereditary, because Hereditary is fucking terrifying. Although I'm not sure if you're not a horror movie kind of guy.
I'm not watching that. Fucking Uncut Gems was like a horror movie to me.
That's because you see yourself in fucking the guy.
Yeah. Uncut Gems was terrifying. Like I hate it. I've been watching like you know you kind of when you're at home a lot, you just kind of watch easy things. I've been
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
Criminal Minds a lot lately on Amazon Prime.
You're like my missus. Just
I
watch
know.
his Criminal Mind. Bet you watch CSI, Cold Case.
I
Fucking
watched CSI when I was younger. Haven't watched it in a long time. Watched Criminal Minds when I was younger as well. To be fair, but yeah,
yeah.
just watching it in order now.
What's the one that Ice-T is in?
Ice-T.
Ice-T is it? No, Ice-T. Yeah, Ice-T is in one of them.
Oh,
Right?
I haven't. I
Am I
haven't a
getting the
clue.
right guy?
Who's Ice? Do you mean Mr. T?
No, Ice-T. The old rapper. Yeah, Ice-T. Google Ice-T.
They're showing me age here, and you're showing your age. I think probably.
No, I'm not. Ice-T.
Uh,
SVU. What's that? Something SVU. SVU.
I'm on his Wikipedia. Korean music.
Law and Order. Is it?
Is it maybe it? Yeah, I've seen like episodes of Law and Order, but yeah, not a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Actually,
that
you
seems
you
like
might
something you'd
appreciate this
watch.
discussion. One of my mates put into our group chat today, and he said, "Lads, what's the opinion on Friends? Is it a goat show or is it overrated? What's your opinion, Rob?"
Overrated. Right now,
It-
here's the thing, right? This is
Don't start this bullshit about the laughing track.
funny that I hate laugh tracks. I know I don't mind laugh tracks. I think it's just fine. It's a fine show.
Okay.
It's grand. It's watchable. My missus absolutely loves it. The thing about it is that she watches it. I'm not joking. She watches it every day. She watches an
Yeah.
episode a day.
Yeah,
Just
it's one of
randomly.
those you can just have on in the background.
That's what she does. She puts it on the background. But like I'm sitting there and I'm just hearing fucking Phoebe being all anal and all, and not in a good way. But anyway, funny enough that you brought that up. I wrote a script for MMA on Point, and I knew this would have got this reaction. This is the reason why I put it in it. I mentioned like talking about a division or something, and I said it was a shit show, and I said kind of like Friends, right? Just because I wanted people to go, oh, but like in the script I done like ooh, just joking. But
Yeah.
I think it was Tom that was doing the narration on it, and he didn't say that. He just kind of went past it, and like no joke, about half the comments are, "Hey, don't fuck with Friends, or else, yeah, Friends is shy." It's so polarizing.
Yeah, it's very polarizing. I like it. I don't know if I love it. Like, but yeah, it's a very easy watch. I do think it's funny. Yeah, I would enjoy it. If someone put it on, absolutely wouldn't be mad. I would put it on sometimes as well. I think
Yeah.
The Office is better, but they're
Yeah.
two different shows as well. Probably.
Different, yeah. Like I don't think The Office is a great show to put on in the background. I think you should watch The Office because the gags
Yeah.
are a bit. They're not smarter, but you know what I mean. They're a bit.
Yeah. The Office is meant to like be hilarious,
Yeah.
hilariously stupid as well. Some of the stuff in The Office is just ridiculous.
Yeah. The thing I'd
It's hilarious.
say Friends is the compliment I'd give it is it's watchable. It's just a very watchable show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not offensive. It's fine.
Yeah.
Unlike The Big Bang
I think
Theory or
it's
something.
for me anyway, it's a bit more than watchable, but yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. No. I
Have
just
you watched
like.
much of The Simpsons on Disney Plus? Disney Plus isn't good value, by the way.
No, it's not. It's not. I thought it was good value when I originally got it because I was like, oh my god, look at all these Disney films I want to rewatch, and I don't really
just
want to
don't.
rewatch them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the Marvel films, I love them, as you can see behind me. But like, I have most of them, or I had most of them. So
I think it'll be better when they get a lot of the stuff they have licensed out back.
yeah. No, I agree. And like when they bring out like what's the Scarlet Witch show? They're bringing out a Scarlet Witch show anyway.
Okay.
Scarlet Witch and Vision. Fucking hell, I'm losing it. WandaVision, that's what it's called. That looks great.
Okay.
And then all those kind of shows will be good. Costello said, I'm watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the 5th time. Unbelievable show. Sean, you haven't watched that, have you?
So I'm probably going to kill for this. So I have tried to watch it. I've got 2 seasons in, and it's funny. I couldn't get into it the same way I got into The Office.
Imagine I just turned off the stream.
I know.
I love It's Always Sunny.
I tried. It's grand.
It's grand. What do
Yeah,
you mean it's grand?
it's
I'm
grand.
joking.
Like,
I won't. It's Always Sunny is amazing.
I actually hate talking TV with people because I haven't seen. Like, if you ask me, have you seen this? No, I haven't. Is probably the base answer to take.
Yeah.
And if I have, then that's a bonus.
Yeah.
But I'm picky with shows that I like as well.
Yeah. Well,
I hate when people get on when there's a buzz about this show and like everyone's like, you should go watch it. I'm like, I don't want to watch it because I know I probably won't like it.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm the exact same. Like I have shows where I love them because when I get a show, I think I've said this to you before. Like if I get recommended a show and I start it, I'll make a point of finishing it. Unless I absolutely hate it, I'll just stop.
Yeah.
But I don't at all passively watch a show. So like if you say, have you watched this? Unless I had the time to finish it, I most likely didn't start it. So I haven't seen a lot. But yeah, apparently Costello said if you're Irish, you have to watch it. I think he's talking about Ozark, is he?
I'd say Always Sunny.
It's Always Sunny. Yeah, Sean. You're not Irish.
Yeah.
I love it.
I am a poor Irishman. I don't drink tea either and stuff like that. So
Jesus Christ.
I drink pints.
You're doing yourself damage here on this live stream. I'm joking, you're not. Anyways, we better leave it there before we fucking go on. Sean, enjoy the football if you're going to watch it later.
Thank you, Rob. Have a good weekend.
Good luck to your team. Thank you. And not tonight, but whenever United play. And we'll leave it there. Thanks, Sean. Talk to you later.